So you want to write an ebook? Well, I'm going to show you the 12 steps to finally completing, writing and publishing your ebook. Let's get started. Hey, I'm Shantae, freelance copywriter and creative business coach. And today we're going to talk about the 12 steps to getting your ebook completed and published. If you like this channel, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Let's get started. As you know, digital products are on the rise or in demand. And if you're like anybody out there, you have created your own digital products or you're looking to create digital products. One of the most valuable digital products, in addition to courses or videos, is creating an ebook. It's something that many people haven't done, but is very valuable. Now, it's very easy to go on those platforms that have already written ebooks, you know, the PLR platforms, and that's great. It's a good starting point. But as you find, those PLR books are mass-produced or quickly written, and they really don't share your tone of voice, and to be honest, they require a lot of editing. So if you're somebody that positions yourself as a copywriter, the one thing that you don't want to do is leave your writing reputation in the hands of somebody who's just pumping out a bunch of ebooks. So we're going to talk about how you can complete your very own ebook in 12 easy steps. Now, I know writing an ebook can be intimidating, but this step-by-step video is actually going to help you kind of narrow it down. The very first thing I want you to realize in writing the ebook is, number one, it doesn't have to be perfect the first time. Number two, your ebook doesn't have to be a full ebook. Your ebook can start off as a workbook. Yes, exactly. Your first ebook can actually be a workbook. Did you feel the load come off your shoulders? Did you feel it? You feel lighter already? Yes, your mind was just blown because you just realized that your ebook doesn't have to be chock full of a bunch of words necessarily. Within those pages can be activities that you can give your readers an opportunity to learn more. Before you do that, so now that you know that your first ebook doesn't necessarily have to be a full ebook, it can instead be a 27-page workbook, here are the step-by-step things that you want to do to make sure that your ebook is successfully completed. The first thing that you want to do, number one, is to narrow down your niche. I know, I say it all the time, but this is very important. It's easy to pick a subject such as finance, and there's so many things underneath that umbrella of finance that you can overwhelm yourself and overwhelm your reader. It's important to narrow down because you're gonna wanna know what angle you're taking in the book. If you're writing about finance, are you gonna write about budget? Are you gonna write about savings? Are you gonna write about investing or cryptocurrency? What exactly within that topic of finance are you gonna write about? And even within budget, who exactly are you gonna target? Are you going to target the person that has a spendable income and you're teaching them how to make more wise decisions? Or are you talking to somebody who maybe doesn't make that much money and you really want to help them on how they can stretch their dollar? Those are two completely different angles and completely different audiences, which is why the first thing you want to do is to narrow down and get clear of who you're talking to, what point of view you're talking to, and what the purpose of your ebook is. The second thing that you want to do is, once you've narrowed down your niche, is define your tone of voice. Is it going to be a lighthearted book? Is it going to be a very serious, heavily driven book? Is it going to be an inspiring book? This is going to help you create your tone of voice in addition to the angle and the type of feelings or calls of action that you want your reader to take. It's also going to help you with step number 3, which is your research. Knowing what your niche is, who you're talking to, and what tone of voice that you're going to take is going to help you seek out and determine what sourced information you're going to include in your book. You definitely want to include at least a few pieces of sourced information in your book because you're writing a nonfiction book and you're writing a book where it's going to position you as an expert or an authority figure in that topic, industry, or field. So if you're writing a book that is inspiring for young families making money, you may not necessarily want to go to the Department of Treasury to get your sourced income. Maybe something a little bit more local, a little bit more relatable to them. Step number 4 is once you've determined what you're going to write about, what your point of view, who you're going to talk to, your tone of voice, and your research material, you've got all your research material now, is you want to break up your topic into subject matters. So these are going to be subtopics that you're going to break your book into. You don't want to be a big, long, a book about budget and it's just one long 27-page chapter on budgeting. Let's say budgeting, how to increase your income, how to budget for expenses, or budget for household, how to lower your light bill, how to, you want to how you're gonna, I'm not a finance person, so you want to section out those subjects so you know exactly what you're gonna talk about. 2 things. Number 1, it's gonna keep you focused so you don't run off on a tangent and end up talking about too many things. Number 2, it's going to make it easier for your reader to follow your path of progression. You want to picture yourself taking your reader onto a journey. An ebook, although it's nonfiction, is still a story. You want to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you want to be sure that your reader is following you and is not only educated and informed, but they're also entertained. The best way to do that is to allow them to be focused by breaking it down so it's little bites of information that they're receiving that they can actually incorporate and they can find value from reading that book. This is why if your first ebook is a workbook, within those subtexts, you can actually include activities and pages or graphs or even little homework assignments for them to do. Number 5, once you have divided your subtext, you want to write your first draft. So write out your first draft with all chapters. Now there's no rule of thumb of how many chapters you want to have, but the rule of thumb is, I just said there was no rule of thumb. There's no solid rule of thumb of how many chapters you have to have in your ebook. Typically an ebook is about 27 pages, about anywhere between 10 to 27 pages. And within that ebook, you have subtext. So you want to be sure that your chapters are not too long. If there's a subject matter that possibly can be broken up into another subject matter, the rule of thumb is go ahead and break it up. But go ahead and write your ebook so you know that your book is flowing the way it needs to flow. Now, your first draft is a first draft. It does not need to be perfect. And by breaking up into sections, it's going to make it easier to finish that draft. You may start off with 2 sections a day or 2 sections a week. Whatever you decide, be sure in your calendar as a task that you have assigned what chapter you're going to do on what day. That way, your book does not continue to sit in your drafts untouched. So write your first draft, give yourself a goal line. I like saying goal line instead of deadline. A goal line for you to finish that first draft. I recommend finishing it within the week. Number 6 is to proofread and edit your first draft. I recommend when you do this that you make a copy of the original one in case there is an idea that you decide later on, oh, you know what? I like that. I want to go back to that. If you've already edited over it, now you've got to try to recreate it. So make a copy of your first draft and edit that copy of your first draft. Number 7 is going to sound a little crazy, but after you've edited your first draft, I want you to let it marinate. Step away. Don't talk about it. Don't look at it. Don't think about it. Step away for a day. I want you to say it with me. Step away for a day. Just one day, because you don't want it to get forgotten. Put it in your calendar as a task. Make an appointment with your ebook that you're going to be revisiting it. Step away for 24 hours for one day. It's going to be revisit and revise. So in that step, you've already stepped away. You are now revisiting your book with a new set of eyes. You're going to look at your book as a reader reading your book for the first time. Do not look at your book as the author. Look at your book as the reader. This is going to help you be able to see whether the reader understands what you're saying, whether the reader is excited about taking this journey with you down the path of finance. By looking at the book with a new set of eyes as a reader, you're going to be able to see, is my book understandable? Is it well written? How does it make me sound? Is it speaking to the type of person I want to speak to? Is it taking the tone of voice I would like it to take? Where do I have to do more edits? Because more than likely, you'll have more edits to do. This is the step of your second draft. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going start to finish and rewriting the whole thing again. This is simply where now, looking at it as a reader, you're going to assess what changes you need to make and make those changes. You want to be sure that you don't get stuck in the perpetual cycle of perfection. It does not have to be perfect. It has to be readable. It has to be enjoyable to read. That's what the purpose is. The purpose is to get the book done and published, not for it to be perfect. So there's always going to be imperfections. You don't want the imperfection to be grammatical errors and things like that, but sometimes we can be a little bit hard on yourself. So I want you to look at that as a reader and rewrite as a reader. Now, once you've rewritten your second draft and you can say, okay, all right, I'm good with that, you're gonna design. That is my favorite part. You are going to design your ebook. So again, you're gonna take all of the text and you're gonna put it in a template in Canva. So Canva is one of my favorite templates to use for ebooks. The great thing about designing your ebook is that you do not have to be a designing expert. You just have to have a little creativity. Canva is great for having already made templates that you can customize to your liking. You can change font, brand colors, and style in however you want. Something to keep in mind and why you really want to know who you're speaking to as far as your audience and what angle you're taking is you don't want to get caught up on colors and fonts, but you want to be sure that everything has some continuity to it. So for instance, if you're writing a budget book for single women, you don't necessarily want it to be black and gray and very heavily executive-like. If you're writing a book for executives, you don't want to add pops of fuchsia pink in there. Or maybe you do, but you really want it to be sure that it aligns with the message that is in your ebook and as well as your brand if you already have an existing brand. Now the next step is a repeat. You are going to step away again and let it marinate for a day. Step away for a day, just one day. Again, write that down in your calendar and come back to revisit that. We're going to make adjustments. So now you've already designed your book. You now are coming back and you let it marinate for a day. And now you're coming back and you're looking at the full finished draft in its entirety. It's dressed up. It's the dress rehearsal this is the last day of the dress rehearsal. So now you are revisiting it and revising again. Now, do not get caught up in the need for it to be perfect. Make sure it's purposeful and enjoyable. Did you enjoy reading the book? Did you smile at the end of the book? This would also be a great opportunity to share this with somebody that you trust. Is there a trusted friend that you know will not share your proprietary information? Is this somebody that you've told you wanted to write an ebook and would be very proud that you finally have finished it? Show it to your spouse or your best friend or your child or family member or coworker that you've written this book. Be sure if you do need to have them sign a non-disclosure agreement, but somebody that you can trust that can kind of look it over as a reader as well and give some feedback. Take that feedback during this time, because it's still in step number 11, and make any adjustments. Take things with a grain of salt. You want to be sure that you are sharing this with somebody who is positive, somebody who's encouraging, and somebody's in your corner who really wants you to finish this, and you don't want to get bogged down with any negativity or discouraging work. So once you've gotten feedback and you've made those changes to your book, step number 12 is to publish it. Simply publish it. You can do this on various platforms. You can create a Stan store. You can create a Beacon store. You can put it on your own website. You can put it on Amazon. Whatever it is, whatever platform you want to put it on, this is the time to let it shine. Put it out there. It's done. No more collecting dust in your draft section of Google or Word. And it's time to publish it. The very last step after step number 12 is a bonus, which is to market it and let people know. You can do this with TikTok, social media, within your immediate circle. If you have a podcast, you can announce it on your podcast. You can share the link on LinkedIn. But this is the time to share your link as a bonus to let people know, hey, my book is published, check it out. If you feel more comfortable doing it as a feedback or focal group, you can do it that way. Since it is your very first book, you can use the information or the feedback as a guideline or guidepost for when you do your second one or addendum, and then you can pitch it or market it as the second edition. So I hope that this helped you gain some confidence and some clarity in creating and finishing your digital product, your ebook finally. No more excuses. It's time to do it. I have personally started 2 of my first 2 ebooks were workbooks, and I can tell you the load and the pressure that was lifted off by starting that. Again, 27 pages, and within those pages were activities, because it really allows you to pull your reader in and get your reader engaged. I hope this was helpful. Again, if you like this video, be sure to like it, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe for more information. Until next time, happy creating.